another episode of Dexter's Diary. What's up? Hola, ¿cómo estás? Konnichiwa, sakpase, all of that. What's going on? So, I changed my look up a little bit, trying something different. I feel like one of the Three Stooges, but it's cool because I don't mind punching somebody in the face. But I'm not going to. I wanted to talk this week. I wanted to kind of piggyback off of what I spoke about last week with mental illness and speaking your truth and not allowing yourself to be stigmatized. So I posted that on Monday, and right after that, two prominent figures decided to end their lives and move along into the next phase of their cycle. And it was a really big thing. And I feel like we always wait till something or people who are well off for them to do something before we speak about it. When people who are impoverished, who are who don't have the finances nor the resources to get any help, are dealing with this every day, and we don't talk about it. And it's just like, your friends are struggling, your family's struggling, you may very well be struggling, and we don't talk about it. And it's just like, again, don't allow yourselves to be stigmatized by things, by your pain. Like, your pain will hold you hostage, and it'll have you thinking like you're the only one. And it's not to say that because they had more money than certain people that their thing is more important. It certainly isn't. It does not decimate. Someone having finances or lack thereof does not decimate you at all. Doesn't take away from the fact that you are dealing with a substantial amount of pain, and you need to speak about it. You need to reach out, because a lot of times I saw a lot of posts on social media, and they were talking about, no one checks out, and you check on your friends and this, that, and third, or whatever. And that is true. But we also have to understand that maybe your friends cannot extend to you because they might be dealing with some stuff too. We have to open up these lines of communication, because just like you want somebody else to reach out, somebody else is looking for you to reach out to. And it's a back and forth. It's an ebb and flow. Like, it's a give and take. It's an exchange of energy. And stop thinking that your thing is bigger or smaller and someone doesn't care or people don't care. People have lives. People have families, they have jobs, responsibilities, and a lot of times you get so caught up in your own turmoil, you're not thinking about anyone else's. And it's just like, if we can, there's plenty of friends that, my friends that, we talk about things, but there are things that I don't find out till later, because now that they've dealt with it and they know how to talk about it, now they're like, yeah, girl, I was doing all this. I'm like, yo, you could have came to me, you could have said something. I had no idea. And you never said anything, but they felt some kind of way about themselves. And they felt like maybe someone would look down on them and make them feel worse. And it's just like, we have to open up these lines of communication. It is important to not feel like you're the only one. When you are watching people in situations, for lack of a better term, that are better than yours, and they're going through it, know that you are not the only one. Depression, mental illness, things of that nature. I don't care how much money you have, how much money you don't have, who your family is, what your job is, what neighborhood you live in. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. Like, everyone from all walks of life are dealing with things. And the hardest thing too is to get out of your head, because your mind will play these tricks on you, and you'll be like, damn, like, I'm crazy. Legit. And maybe you are, and it's cool. But definitely maybe you aren't. It's just, we don't know how to deal with our trauma. Especially within the Black community, I feel like for other cultures, it's so easy to just pop a pill and think that everything's cool. Like, oh, like I have anxiety, so let me take a Xanax. Oh, I'm dealing with this, let me take this. And it's just like, I've worked in pharmaceuticals for quite some time, and I do not condone medication. If it's an absolutely necessary situation, then yes, but find other ways to cope, because you become dependent on it. And after a while, your body does this wonderful thing where it acclimates and nothing works anymore. So now you're upping the dosage, you're taking this, you gotta add this, and then you're taking like a bag full of medication, and the problem is still not fixed. The problem is, and it's not to say that you'll stop being depressed. Some people are just manic depressives, and they will struggle with that their whole lives. But you have to start coping mechanisms, positive coping mechanisms, because coping can be alcohol, it can be weed, it can be coke, it can be heroin. Those aren't positive coping mechanisms. Find a better way to deal, find a better way to purge, find a better way to get things out, because drugs and alcohol and all that stuff is just numbing for the meantime. It does not take away the anxiety. It doesn't take away the pain. It doesn't stop you from thinking about the fact that your father raped you, or your cousin molested you, or whatever, or abusive relationships, or the way you feel about yourself, body dysmorphia, your schizophrenia. There are all kinds of reasons why you feel some type of way in your head and about yourself. And it is about finding positive coping mechanisms. It is about, if you cannot, I told you, like, I looked for a counselor for a long time, but I couldn't find anyone in my area that looked like me. And then it was the issue of payment, and it was like, all right, so I did find a few people who were willing to do like the sliding scale, but again, it's challenging when you don't come from the same background. It's not to say that they can't help you. It just means like now I have to explain my background. But I gotta explain everything before I can explain to you what the hell is going on right now. And I've been there. I know. And again, it may not be for everybody, but for me, that was my experience. And excuse me, I just really didn't appreciate it. It just made me feel even worse. So I looked to other ways. At one point it was church, and then I figured out that church wasn't doing it for me, because I was just avoiding. I threw myself into church. I threw myself into the choir. I was there. I was doing fundraising. I was doing everything, but I was still avoiding the things I needed to work on. And I didn't necessarily feel any better. I just didn't feel any worse, because I didn't have time to think about it. Between work and everything else, it was just like all my time was consumed. And then I was just like, I got to church one day and I was like, this ain't working anymore. Like, there's only but so long you can avoid it. And I think too, there's only so long you can avoid it before it becomes insurmountable and it chokes you. You'll have kids. You have kids, parents come home and find their kids have killed themselves in the basement. It is crazy, but we don't talk about these things. And we definitely, for some reason, we don't think that children go through depression. I think some of my worst years were when I was like 13 and dealing in the thick of it. You know, now I'm just dealing with like the memories and more so the cost of the decisions that I made when I was in that space. And now, you know, kind of have to go back and do work and clean up your mess, because nobody told me and nobody believed me. You know, like, they knew I was angry, but they didn't know why I was angry. And then you couldn't tell them why. And when you did tell them why, it was almost like they shut you down. Like, you're just complaining for the sake of complaining. Like, we don't validate each other's existence. We just disregard it as if it's just something that you can just chalk it up to just get over it. And you cannot get over it. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't just go away because like I'm over it now. It's a lie. It's a goddamn lie. Like, there's only one way through it, and it's literally through it. It's literally, and you really just have to put in the work. And some people just don't know how to reach out. Pride is a motherfucker. When you're going through shit, and you're in the throes of it, pride will take you down the worst roads, because you don't want anyone looking at you like you're crazy. You don't want anyone knowing your business, and you are literally dying inside. It is crazy. It is crazy. I'm telling you, like, if I had let my pride get in the way, I would not be here to have this conversation with you, because I was so close. I mean, I was close. I had sunk as far as I can go. I was sleeping at a friend's house in the projects, and I was homeless. I had done the shelters. I had slept in some room with some crazy lady who threatened to kill me. It was the middle of the snowstorm. Man, listen. I have slept on beaches. I have slept on the floor, and there was roaches crawling all over my shit. Like, for me, that was rock bottom. For other people, everybody's story is different. But for me, that was it. Like, I was literally sleeping on a pallet in the corner. Like, I had no money. I had no resources. I had nothing. Like, put the clothes on my back and a few clothes. That was pretty much it. At this point, I wasn't even really eating, like, because I didn't have any money. And I'm like, what the fuck? How did I get here? How did I get here? From everything that I had been through, how did I get here? And that coupled with everything else that I had been through up until that point, it was killing me. To the point where, the person I was staying with accused me of trying to kill myself in their house. And I was like, it's not like I wouldn't do it, but I wouldn't do it in your house. You know, like, that's not how. Actually, I didn't know how I was going to do it, and I probably was. I just didn't. I can chuckle about it now, but it wasn't funny then. And I had to reach out. I called my homegirl. I'm like, look, like, I'm literally this close to ending it all, because I felt like I don't have anything to live for. It's just me. I don't have anything to live for. Like, I'm not talking to my family. I'm like, there was nothing. I didn't have any kids. I'm like, it's just me. And then she was like, yo, come, bring your ass, get your stuff. Whatever you have, just bring it and come, and we'll figure it out when you get here. But wherever you at, you cannot stay there. And I stayed with her for some time, and it helped, and but that was it. If I had not, and had she not answered the phone, who knows? Because I was ready. I was like, look, this is it. I've lived. I was like 21, and I was like, I have lived 21 years, and it has been nothing but fucking pain. This is me, like, sitting on the fucking bench. I'm boohooing, people are walking past me, and I'm like, I have lived 21 years, and I have nothing to show for it. Like, I'm fucking homeless. I'm sleeping on the floor. My shit is covered in roaches. Yeah, I'm talking about, I hadn't dealt with my rape. I hadn't dealt with my molestation. I hadn't dealt with being estranged from my family. Nothing. I couldn't even afford to be a fucking alcoholic or a pot. Like, I couldn't even afford, I didn't have money to even purchase anything, let alone drug paraphernalia. I'm talking about shit out of luck. And had I not reached out and said, yo, I need help, that was the last ditch effort. It was like, this is it. If nobody answers the phone, I'm out. I don't have nothing here. And she answered the phone. And it's not to say that I'm not blaming the victim or anything like that. I understand, like, sometimes people, I'm one of those people. I'm an isolator. So when I'm deep in my depression or just in my thoughts, I isolate, and that's a coping mechanism for me. I become a hermit, and I don't want to. And I literally had my friends like call, like, yo, I'm gonna have to call the cops and have them come break down your door because I know how you get. And I'm like, okay, let me call this bitch because I don't need any problems. But I'm just lucky to have people in my life who understand that this is what I do, and it's not necessarily the best or necessarily the safest way, but they will call me out like, look, answer the phone or something, or I'm coming up there or something, something has to be done. You cannot go back into that place, because they know. But again, like I said, I'm lucky enough to have that. So a lot of people don't, and pride and pain and just isolation will make everything worse. And it's just like, you gotta do something. You gotta push through. And I know when you're in the middle of it, it's the hardest thing to pick up the phone and say, yo, I need something. I need you out, or whoever you can call. I don't care if it's someone you hadn't spoken to since you were in the 5th grade. I don't care. Call somebody. Find something. Go to a meeting. You know, a lot of people who aren't even like alcoholics or into narcotics go to meetings just so they can be in the space of, because these people have gone through things. They're in pain. They are in a process of fixing, healing, and whatever. There's a lot of people who just go there because they need to talk. They're not necessarily addicts or anything like that, but they need something because they're trying to, and it's free. And no one knows you. No one's going to judge you. You can give a fake name and just say whatever you need to say. And you know that there's a certain type of kinship there. Like, we have to find better ways of coping, and we have to be cognizant that other people are going through stuff. And when they're not reaching out and you feel like you need something, maybe you need to reach out to. You know, there's a back and forth, and it has to happen. We cannot continue to act like this is not a thing. We cannot act like this is not real, and people aren't, especially with the way things are going now, like, it's bananas, and people need help. And not only do we need help, we need each other. We need to start this sisterhood, brotherhood thing, because there's so many things that we weren't allowed to talk about years ago. Your parents didn't talk about, your great-great-parents didn't talk about. Like, nobody talked about that. Now it's coming to the forefront, and it's just like, this stuff has been sitting in your history. It's been sitting in your DNA. It's been sitting, and you're dealing with years and years of trauma that aren't even yours, that are handed down generationally. And at some point, somebody has to say, enough. Enough. I will not give this to my children. I will not have my grandchildren go through what is going on right here. I will not have this. I will not pass down this generational curse that is given down as we act like it's tradition. And in some way it has become, but it really is a generational curse. We have to change these narratives. We have to talk about it. We have to be vocal about it. And we have to not let it go any further than us. The buck stops with me. If I decide to have children, I promise you with every fiber of my soul, all that crap that I went through with my parents and family and this, that, and that, I will not, I refuse, I will not give that to my children. That will not be the legacy I give my child. And so they pass it down to my grandchildren, and it just keeps going on because nobody decided to say, no, we will not do this. At some point it has to stop. So let it stop with you, or let it stop with your children. Let it stop with your friend or your cousin or whoever. We have to stop it at some point. We have to put the tourniquet on and stop the bleeding, because that's what's going on. Like, people are dying. People are killing themselves. There's PTSD. There's trauma. There's all kinds of crap. And even if you take out all that, and it's just something in you that you have to deal with, because even if you take all that out, your biggest adversary is always going to be your brain. Because when nobody's around, your mind will talk shit to you and have you believe in some other stuff that is completely untrue. But in that moment, when you're by yourself, it sounds like it's prophecy. Like, it's the truest shit in the world. Like, it's Bible. Excuse me. It's not. It's not. Your brain will feed you falsehoods, because that's what it keeps you safe. Your brain does this thing where it just keeps feeding the beast, because that's how it thinks it's protecting you, until somebody says no. And you have to be really persistent about breaking the cycle, because if not, honey, you'll be having children and you'll be 75 and you'll be seeing your daughter or your son do the same things that you did to them, to your children. And you'll be trying to be that great grandparent, and you'll be fighting an uphill battle. But this is what you gave. This is what you set out. This is the energy that you put out. And this is what's going to continue to happen until you stop it. Until somebody says enough is enough. So, today, enough is enough. Or yesterday, or whatever. But we're not going to keep doing this. Okay? That is all. I love you guys. I'll see you next time.